Good day and welcome to another program of 360 Sport. I'm Mudashir Shitu, and today will be another interesting moment on the show. As always, it's a period where you always want to know more about what's going on in the world of sport. And not just football, it's a lot that has to do with many sports. But today we are looking at one part of football that seems to be not so much knowledge about as regards to that. And we are looking at football intermediaries, the rules of intermediaries in Nigerian football. And having to join me on the show is Mr. Ayodele Thomas, who is a licensed FIFA agent. And beyond that, is the former chairman for Football Intermediaries Association of Nigeria, and also is the MD of Top Pro Management Limited. And this he has done so well for himself when it comes to football. It's good to have you on the show, sir. It's good to have you on the show, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I can hear you clear, loud and clear.
I want us to open a space in the world of football that, especially to Nigerians that don't know so much about it. If you ask me, a lot of people just talk about what goes on the field, work with the players and all that. But there's always an intermediary, regardless of what football is all about in this part of our world. There's always an intermediary between a footballer, and a football club. Beyond a footballer and the football club, there are people in between them. And, but we Nigerians and a lot of Nigerians across the globe, mostly residing in Nigeria, don't know so much about what it takes for a player to move from one particular country or club to another. And that's the role of football intermediaries. And you are a former chairman of an association that does about intermediaries in the country. Tell us, what's the role of intermediaries in Nigerian football?
Okay, that's a very good question. And a lot of people do not understand the vital role intermediaries play in shaping the career of footballers. And if you look across the globe, you realize that all the superstars, talking about Messi, Ronaldo, and all of the top level players you hear about, you've never heard of them sitting down with clubs and negotiating on their own. It's usually an agent doing all the work for them. And this is the reason why you find that this role specifically for intermediaries, I'm going to break it down into three for you. So number one is the fact that as an agent, you're supposed to know the rules of the game in terms of the legal rules that governs football transfer. Not only that, you're supposed to have a good relationship. You're supposed to be a good relationship manager. So someone who has the guts and the power of the tongue to be able to negotiate. You have to be a good negotiator because, as you know, football is more or less like a trade between one person and the other, where each and every one of these people are trying to get the best for themselves. So as an intermediary, you're the go-between, you're the one in between that's going to fine-tune and ensure that your own client, which is the footballer, or sometimes your client could be the club, is able to get the best side of the stick. And this particular role is one of the reasons why FIFA pays so much attention to the role of football intermediaries in the scheme of football as a whole.
Okay. Well said, but what's worrisome perhaps might be why is the person or the intermediary seems to be like a very not so much popular person? I mean, is there so much secrecy? A lot of people don't know the agent, the footballer, the intermediary between a lot of footballers, great footballers. Why is it so? Why is that they're not always shown to the public? Why is it that they're always working behind the scene. We only get to know some of them where there's a need for controversies or anything has happened. But in the normal business, like a lot of people don't know, or they're always behind the scene playing that role. They're not as they're not always in the public domain. Is there a rule that guides that?
Well, we represent our clients. Our representation is not supposed to be taking place in public. So when I'm trying to move a player from one country to the other, you are not supposed to see me negotiating. Most of the negotiations are done off the table. They are done either via phone or personal discussions. But the players are the ones that you see in public and you hear about in public. We are supposed to do our jobs quietly and on behalf of our clients. So you don't really get to see us unless there is an issue where it becomes a case. For example, let me use the case of Osimhen, for example. If Osimhen's deal with Napoli and Chelsea had gone on smoothly, you would not hear about the agent. But because there's a problem, and because an agent was involved in the negotiation that broke down, so this becomes an issue. But normally, 9 out of 10 transfers are done by agents that you don't hear about because they've gone on smoothly and the players have moved to the clubs and everything has happened and has gone well. So you only get to hear those controversies when there are controversies. Otherwise, we don't work in public. We work in, a well-defined organization and institution that has rules and regulations that we have to abide by. And also, we cannot be seen discussing about our players' conditions and terms. There's this law of privacy that we need to abide by.
Okay. So, but according to the rules, you tell us, because I'm sure our viewers will want to know this. How many persons or agents is expected to have the right to a player? There's times in the Nigerian Premier League where we have issues of the academy player holding on to a right of a player, and the club itself is also holding right to a player. But according to the rules and from your own experience, how many agents or how many persons has the right to a player?
That's a very good question. And unfortunately, I'll use the word again. FIFA defined the role of an agent as the sole representative of a player. And that is the law. But unfortunately, in Nigeria, everyone is an agent. The player's father is an agent. The player's mother plays the role of an agent. The academic club's owners wants to play the role of an agent. Even the officials that are supposed to be controlling and in charge of football sometimes are playing the role of an agent. These are all illegal activities. A player is only allowed to do two things. One, be represented by a licensed football agent, in this case, a FIFA licensed football agent, or the player can choose to represent himself. There's no law that says the player cannot represent himself. Any other person that is trying to represent the player does not fall under the FIFA jurisdiction. The FIFA statute does not cover such transfer. And if anything happens, such a player is not protected by FIFA laws. So for you to be called an agent, first and foremost, you must be licensed by FIFA, and a player or a club is only allowed one representation at a time. So as an agent, as a player, you cannot sign a dual representation with two agents. It's against the law. It is not accepted. One agent per time is the mandatory requirement for every player.
But this also worries a very young player, I mean, an academic player. Why is there so much lack of trust within that system, the intermediaries in Nigeria? Why is there so much of lack of trust from the person that found the player to the academic club, to the club in the Premier? There's so much of lack of trust from what is in the public domain among intermediaries in Nigerian football.
Well, the issue of lack of trust is not really the issue here, because players, agents are duly licensed by FIFA, so they can be seen to be doing the legal job that they've been asked to do and mandated to do by FIFA statutes. Now, the problem actually arises out of greed. So I'm not going to use, it's not trust that's the issue here, it's greed. So for example, as an agent, you're only entitled to 5% of players' wages. So the only way you can get more from such a player is to introduce someone else who is going to be acting as an unlicensed manager, call it a club academy director, that says, okay, I'm going to be entitled to more from your salary, or I'm going to be entitled to more from your sign-on fee, or I want to share a part of the club's transfer fees. Agents are not allowed to do all that. Yeah. And agents are only allowed to charge 5% commission. So to get around all of this is why you see multiple people play multiple roles. And that's nothing to do with trust. That's got to do with greed. Absolutely.
Okay. You are the former chairman of Football Intermediaries Association of Nigeria. That rule, tell us a bit about what this association does to ensure that there is so much of professionalism in the association.
Okay. So one of the things that we try to do as agents is to see how we can purify the system. That's number one. Without illegality from the system. That's number two. Have collective bargaining when it comes to our rights. That's number three. And most importantly, do carry out advocacy that will be able to educate the players about the role of an agent, because a lot of times agents' role are misconstrued. So we need to have a body like most labor union in Nigeria, the Pegasons, the NLC. These are organized labor that decided to say, okay, we need to defend our rights, we need to fight for our members, and we need to educate the public. So that was the reason why this association was created. Unfortunately, and I'll keep using the word again, unfortunately, Nigerians are the problems of Nigerians.
Okay.
There are people who do not want to see a strong agent association, because a strong agent association will be able to fight and stand the test of time, and will be able to collectively stop them from carrying out illegal activities. So just the same thing that is happening now with the players' union. There are some people that don't want the player union to be united, because a united players union means that no club can hold a player. Look at what is going on in the MPFL today. You sack 20 players in one season, bring in another 20 players in the next season. The players are not being paid. The ones that have been let off. There are no sign-on fees, nothing, no salary is being paid. And you are allowing such clubs to register new players. Why is this happening? Because there's no stronger union to fight for the players. And also, the people that are supposed to implement the law are slacking. Because I see no reason why you should owe a player 2 months' salary and still be allowed to register other players. But this is purely institutional issues that needs to be changed in Nigeria. People just don't want progress. We try to bring in the progress, set up this the association, tried as much as possible to ensure that everything works seamlessly. But there are people who don't want us to have a union, because a strong agency, a strong agent association is a threat to their illegal trade in football players.
Now well said. Let's look at the association itself. What body is being affiliated with it? As you recognize, is it recognized by the Nigerian Football Federation, the Sports Ministry, or as the case may be, or as an international body? Because the status of the body that's talking about the Intermediaries Football Association of Nigeria, what are the recognition it has for it to really function?
Well, FIFA created an association. There are several associations that represent footballers. For example, when FIFA came up with a new rule where they said, okay, we are now going to license agents directly. So we do not no longer have these different agents registered by different associations of FIFA. Now, there are some bodies, so the European Union Agents Association are still in court today fighting FIFA for reducing the amount of money they can charge from 10% or more to 5%. So there are unions, and these unions are very strong. They've taken FIFA to court, but these unions are strong only in Europe. We try to do the same thing in Africa, in Nigeria, for example, and you have a lot of people fighting over nothing. They're forgetting that if you're not strong as a collective, it's difficult for you to fight a lot of these institutions, especially clubs. Just imagine the association of agents decide to say, okay, if you are owing any of our players, none of them will play for you in Nigeria. No club will owe any player money, because as a collective, we can put down our foot and say, I can call any of the agents and say, how many of the players are being owed? 5. Which club? For example, Academy is owing 5 players. For example, Remo Star. For example, Eyimba. We can put an embargo on those players that none of our players will sign to them. But we can only do that when we are strong as a union. So how would you think anyone would want us to be as solid as what will be to be able to fight them and stop all this racketeering of players, owing of players, and suffering of Nigerian players?
What then do you think should be done to solidify these associations or to solidify these unions? I mean, what should be done to make sure that things are done perfectly and the players can also have a saying through some of these associations? For the example you have given, if those these players are under your union, I'm sure there will be the stoppage or of owing players' salaries and all that. So what then is the right thing? What footsteps should be put forward first to ensure that possibility of what we dream of in Nigeria?
Okay, so number one, FIFA has taken the first step, which is commendable. Now, to be a football agent, you have to sit for an exam and pass. Just that alone has taken out more than half, if not more, of people who used to call themselves agent before. So now we have a streamlined agency agents in Nigeria. So the first thing is to make sure that only those who have the knowledge, who understand football management, who understand FIFA rules, are first and foremost licensed as agents. That's number one. Now, what's the second thing now? Is for the association, the Nigerian Football Federation, to really get it together, to understand that this association, Nigerian agents, are actually partners in progress. And they must begin to think about setting up an agent department in the Nigerian Football Federation that will act and support the interest of all agents in Nigeria so that the advocacy can start from there. Today, there's not a single agent department in Nigerian Football Federation. You have referees department, you have players department, but one of the tenets of football is that there are football agents, but you don't have any representation, not directly as in part of the officials, but create a situation whereby there can be direct dialogue between the agent and the federation, so that if there are any issues, because one thing that FIFA has done is this: if I have a problem with any player of international dimension, for example, if the player is from Togo, playing in Nigeria, those kind of relationships are called international dimension. So I could go directly to FIFA and they would take care of my problems. Or if I have an issue with a Nigerian player, a Nigerian playing in Nigeria, that is not an international dimension. It means the FA, which is Nigerian Football Federation now, is mandated to look at such issues and deal with it. So if you don't have agents department in the NFF, how do you resolve issues within the system? That's the second thing that needs to be done, because FIFA has done theirs. It's now left for NFF to do their own. And
Yeah.
lastly, is that now that we now have fewer agents, unlike before, and much more educated agents, much more responsible agents, is to now come back again and start to form a credible association one more time.
Yeah, I obviously knew that this is a topic that would take us so much of our time. But before I let you go, there's one question that I'm speaking in the minds of a lot of people I've interviewed, footballers across the globe and all that, asking questions. How will one identify a FIFA licensed agent like you? I mean, when somebody tells me I'm a FIFA licensed agent, how will I know?
Okay, so now it's quite simple. Just tell them to send you their FIFA ID.
Okay.
FIFA has now generated for every agent a FIFA ID or a Connect ID that can be scanned. And if once you scan the ID, it will take you directly to the players agent platform in FIFA.com. So you can verify if a player agent is authentic or is a quack.
Yeah, Mr. Thomas, I'm sorry, Daily Thomas, I want to say a big thank you for being part of the show. And I promise our guests and our viewers that this is just going to be one segment of the show. Time is no longer our friend. We'll be looking forward to before the next 1 or 2 weeks, we'll be talking on something different, but still regarding to this, the role of intermediaries in Nigerian football. I want to say a big thank you for your time and for giving us expansive knowledge on this show. But next week, we'll definitely try to have you back in the studio, perhaps joining us live in the studio to talk about this thing and many more related to it, so that a lot of Nigerians out there, the young stars, our future stars, will not fall prey to any person, a fraudulent person who claims to be a football agent or claims to have an intermediary role with FIFA. So hopefully next week we'll have this done and to finalize this topic. Thank you very much, Mr. Ayodele Thomas.
Thank you for having me and have a lovely day.
Yeah, have a lovely day too. Yes, I'll be speaking with one man with many feathers. He's a former chairman of Intermediaries Football Association of Nigeria. He is also a licensed FIFA agent, and not forgetting, he's also an agent with so many Polish that means clubs in Poland together. So we'll be having him in the next future to talk about the role of intermediaries in Nigeria. Want to say a big thank you for our listeners. If you want to be part of this show, you can join us on all our social media platforms. You can check us on our YouTube page, TV360 Nigeria. You can hashtag 360 Sport to get all our previous episodes in the world of sport. You can also join us on Instagram page, and not forgetting Facebook, where your comments and also give us your feedback on this wonderful. Let's not forget, TV360 Nigeria is Nigeria's first private online TV station in Nigeria. And don't forget, we are the first when it comes to online TV. I'm Mudashir Shitu. Thanks for watching.